So once again, welcome to this session. This is a follow-up session to the site plan drafting that we did. So based on our work plan, we want to handle our site modeling. We have already done our site drafting where we have had those two deliverables that are needed. Okay. We now want to do our site modeling. And as I had mentioned, prior to this, we had already done a model. So just a question of cleaning them up and have those two deliverables, the location map model and the site plan model. So welcome. Now, if you look at our deliverables, this was the location map. This was the site plan gone. Just a mix up of layers. That's a site plan. And at the same time, we had already done a model. Okay. So it will be a question of reconciling these 2 or 3 documentations to enable us achieve what we are looking for. Now, for our site model, we already have it. Now, if we had done our workflows properly, we'll have started with our location map, then our site plan, before if we can actually do our modeling, okay? You will find some consistencies, but for now, there's some small inconsistency. When I talk about a small inconsistency, I'll want to look at this map in the context of our location map. So let me show a stress reference. Maybe I can move it outside first to see what we are dealing with. Maybe because of differences in scale. Let us go to the view map. So let's open the view map for this. So this is the view map. Let's confirm it is. That's site location at around 5,000. So even at this level, I want to place this. What you'll notice is that our location map is quite big. It's bigger than the model that we did, okay? So what we need to do is to quickly reconcile these two, so that at the end of the day, we are able to use them, or we are going to use the location map to achieve what we want. So this is one of the reasons why I advised you use the drawing tool as opposed to the figure tool, because what we want to do right now is to crop the location map to the level of our location model, okay? Again, if your workflows were correct, this will not arise because most probably the location map that you identified or chose is consistent to the one for the model. But if they're not consistent, you need to do a little bit of cleanup. So for cleanup, ideally, it will be to crop this. As a temporary measure, I will crop this. And I want to crop it to the level or to the extent of our model. And since this is an image, even if I suspend fields, make them transparent, you cannot see through. By just pulling them in, it will help us now. We just need to reconcile those corners, okay? So one of the easiest ways is by simply pulling those edges to those corners. What this will do, it will definitely distort your location map for now. I'll advise you that I'd rather we do that for now. Then we'll come and sort out our issues later. So I'll move those nodes specifically, those positions. You realize that there's that small tweak. So our drawing is even slightly rotated. So I need to use the orientation set tool to place it properly. So now I can say with a lot of confidence that the extent of my location map is equal to the extent of my model, which ideally this sort of should have used for the location map. But as I say, and I'll repeat, the fact that the modeling was done before the drafting, that's what's causing this small issue. So ideally, if you use proper workflows where you first of all draft, then this should not be a problem. So I'll want these items to be legible. Okay. Now, I'm tempted to add this road to cover the extent of my model. So allow me just to do a little bit of adding. And it will be so perfect. See, there is a bit thicker, but yours. Now, as I said, there are various ways of sorting out these things. By now, smart students should have realized that even by basically using the wall tool and giving the thickness of the road reserve, you can easily place that road perfectly, and then you explode and get your fills. There are always many ways of resolving these issues. Nevertheless, let's proceed on. So we have this, and ideally, this is the extent of our location map. What I'll want to do, I'll want to snipe it. So I'll zoom to location. I'll zoom into location. I'll unselect everything. And then I'll snipe that extent of our location map. So let me zoom it again. There it is. Now let's use the sniping tool. I'll want to snipe from that point to that point. And if I save it, I can even call it location map model. And at this level, I can even measure it. It's important that we measure it. So let's just quickly measure it. How much is it? So that's around 82, 842, 990. So keep that in mind. Now, if you go back to our model, we had previously done it. Let's open its 3D. There it is. Our site is somewhere here. We can see the road. Now what we want to do, we want to overlay that image on our model so that at the end of the day, it can help us map those various things, and it can make it look realistic, okay? So how do you go about it? If we look at the settings of our mesh, we overrode the top surface and used grass, okay? That's why you're seeing brown grass, but that will not be realistic because we have already some parts built up. We have some buildings already up. So what I want us to do is to create a surface and use our image of the crop of the location map that you have just sniped, that you're able to place here. Again, as you're doing this, let's remember this dimension is very critical, 842, 990. So with that, I'll come and create a surface. Let me call it Yuga location map surface. So I've just cloned that, but the most important thing that under texture, I will come and look for what I have created, which is this one. So if I open it and say, okay, it will be placed. You must put the size. Remember this size we talked about. It was 842,990, if I'm not wrong, but you can always change, make it proportional. So there it is, okay? And then you can use the first option for the mirroring, okay? So if I say, okay, 842,990, I just want to confirm that the figures contain 842,990. Now I want to change the surface of my mesh from grass brown to the surface that I've just created. Call it Yuga something. Here it is. So if I say okay, what happens? It is placed. Okay. But for some of us, you might find a situation where the origin is not consistent. So you'll find this kind of situation. Just select this. For this, I'm working backwards because I know that it's a problem that most of you will face. And I think due to prior we just move the origin. So I select what I want to move the origin. I come to creative imaging. Let me set a random origin there. So for some of you, you'll get such a drawing or such an image where if you look at it critically, it is not consistent to what you have done. So all what you need to do is to move your origin. Remember that that is where we placed our origin, okay? So all what you need to do is now select your mesh and then again come to creative imaging. You set origin and just come and click that corner. Okay, so you'll find that you'll have your road aligned to the model. You'll be able to clearly see the school, you'll be able to see the things that you had already mapped. Okay. So as a result, at this level, that model, someone will easily confuse it with a satellite model, okay? Simply because you have sorted out that. So that's the critical part in terms of location. The thing that's remaining is that, as you can see, we have existing facilities, which now you need to model them. For now, you just use a block to represent that model. And how do we do that? I drafted one of them. So all what I'm supposed to do is by using a morph, I'll come and draw it. Let's get a height of 3 meters. Then let us cut a section. And see what we are getting. So I just need to move this on the surface there. Okay, let's look at it on 3D. And clearly see it there, properly placed within model. Okay, so I will task you to do the same for all the other buildings. So at the end of the day, if you look at it in 3D, you should be able to see the building. Allow me to just stretch it a little bit so you're able to see it. And just to stretch it, not so much. Okay. So there it is, and you can see that it has well placed itself on the extent of the image. Okay. So we'll do the same for all the buildings. Okay. For the trees, just advise you try and place to a number. You might not be able to place all of them because one, the trees are random. Okay, and you can see some areas are forested unless you are able to get a model for a forest. Otherwise, if you start putting individual trees, they might become too heavy. Just try a tree. Again, I always have reservations about these trees. So I'd rather use a 3D animation or visualization tool to do that. So for me, I think we can work with that for the time being in terms of the location model. Okay. The site plan model is just a replication of what we have done on the site plan. So the first thing that we need to do on our site is to under this level, we need to reconcile the two. Okay. We need to reconcile this with what we had on the site plan. This is what we have on the site plan. So since you have been using this, again, this one is happening because of our mixed workflows. So if your workflows are correct, you should not be having such a situation. As you can see, that one is rightly fitting. So allow me to go with that for the time being. Okay. So we just basically want to replicate what we have here. Okay. For the corners at this level, I will not want to put a boundary wall, but I might use posts to show the extent of our site. So just the post, I just need to place a column, maybe a column without a profile, just a basic column. Size, even 100 by 100 will do. For now, the height is 2900. Now, let's first of all place one. It's a small mix-up of items here that I want to. Choose a different layer. Now, the rule of thumb, remember that your column must not go beyond your beacons. In ideal situation, you should have a rhombus kind of column, but for now, allow me just to use that. I want to do a quick section. Just to see what we have. So as you can see, it's placed at the bottom. So I want to move it up. Now, at times we use the heights of the columns to just give an indication of how the site is behaving, okay? So what usually happens is that we place it at the lowest. In that case, I think, if I'm not wrong, this is the lowest part. So I want to, instead of basing it on that height, I want to first of all place this down here, basically to avoid a situation where we have a hanging column. So because of the slope is not so much, so I think we are safe and good to go. So basically now I will place these columns on all corners so that it gives us an idea. Remember that you must respect your beacon lines unless you have deliberately agreed with your neighbor to share. The rule of thumb is that you must just build inside your beacon lines. So just place provisional columns. Let's just look at it in 3D. Go to the last 3D. And what you'll notice is that we have our columns, there they are. I don't know why they feel like they're floating. I think it's just the illusion created by our site, but yeah, remember this site, we used the one that we have not calibrated, so that's what might be causing it. But let's just quickly cut a section through a site that's cutting through 2 columns. You see, is it a case of these columns actually hanging in the air? Because at this point, I would want to avoid that. Yeah, we have those cases. So ideally, we might not have looked at our models properly, but maybe this one tells us that we need to bring it down by 2.2. So let's take all our columns for now, and then take them down by 2200. Let's look at our section again. Now it starts to make sense. So basically it shows you the steepness on this side, okay? This is a height difference of almost a meter. Wow, 2 meters. So that difference in slope at that point is around 2 meters. Okay. Let's cut through this one and see what's happening. But remember, we have used that one as the datum. So unless you find its slope floating, you need to move it. Should we get it to find it floating, then we need to drop all of them with, as you can see, they're not floating. Okay. So let us go back and look at our 3D model. They'll still have them. An illusion of floating is being created simply because the site layout and what we've used here is there are 2 different things. But at least it gives us an idea of the extent of our site, okay? Should we place our boundary walls, then now clearly see our site. Okay, so at that point, I think we are somewhere. Now, with that site, basically, we need to replicate those various things that we did on our site plan. Let's see if we can overlay our site plan. Yes, we can overlay it. So we have a parking to place. For that parking, by now, I think you know what's expected of us. We are basically supposed to take the outline of the parking and use it to crop a clone of our mesh. So let's quickly do that. So I think that fill picks up the extent of our parking. So just place it there. Our interest is this fill. And the fill has a relationship with the road. So again, some workflow issues. We modeled the road before drafting, so a small hitch there, which you should not have if you do it properly. So we need that, and we need our mesh. Let us drag a copy. Allow me to do it again. I think the distance that I is around 2 million. So basically we need to crop off everything and remain with just that portion, okay? Which can easily do it by first of all cutting off to that portion and then use the magic wand to remove the other parts. So we need to cut off this extra portion. So I've been forced to introduce lines to compartmentalize it. Now this one, it just depends on your skill, how you want to do it. For me, a line there and a line there will do. So I break it into portions. So now when I want to remove a portion, I can easily remove. And easily remove. And easily remove. And easily remove that part, okay? So I need to move that one again. No, it does not move the right cross, but at least the bit that I have the line on, so it's somewhere there. The next thing that I want to do is to look at it in the context of a road. You have to be very careful in terms of placement. Those small errors usually result into cumulative errors that you might not have control of. So let us cut through here. So at least we can say a mesh, but we should be seeing two meshes. So is there a mesh? I believe we have done the mesh for the road. So what we have just placed. Let's look for it again. Oh, it's quite behind. Again, workflow issues. Drafting should always come before modeling so that you know what you're modeling. Seems still not getting my road. Will it be that it is so near? Then I suspect it's that's so. Let's just put it. this end there. Oh, so that is the mesh for the road. And use this other mesh. Could it be that the one that's giving us problems because it is submerged somewhere? Let us raise it up by almost a meter. Allow me just to drag this one so that we don't have that inconsistency there. An issue that should not have arisen if reduced to the proper workflow. So for you, it's my hope that you're using the proper workflow so that we don't have that issue. So let's look at our same, not getting my mesh. One of the reasons why. Allow me to just select it. And select with that so that we just look at them in 3D. See what is causing this. See it, there it is. Why is it that it cannot be seen a 3D model? Yeah, mouse should be able to see it. Let's just change its material provisionally. Put it that we want to look at that mesh again in itself. Now, these are challenges that you'll always find once here and there. So I suspect that in the process of cutting it off, it was left hollow. Let's just look at it. You can see you even having challenges getting it. So I suspect that's what happened. Allow me to redo it again, but with a bit of care this time around so that we don't have those kind of issues. I'll first of all confirm at that level that we have a mesh. Let's confirm that we have a mesh. Yes, we have a mesh. At this level, let me just be doing a step-by-step and looking at the 3D model just to see if we have it. I think in the process of cutting off a portion, especially the inner portions, we have a model. So we have a model. So let's cut off this portion. We still have it. Still have it. So I think this is where maybe one of the was not properly cut off. Still have it. So far, so good. Let's cut off that part. We still have it. Still have it. Let's cut off that part. Maybe those are the issues that have arisen and I did not look at them. So as you can see, that last portion is giving us issues. I suspect that maybe one of the, I don't know what might be causing this, but let me just further split it. So far, so good. Let's see if, so this is where our problem is coming from. So I'm tempted to even chop off that part, because we lose nothing by doing that. Then let's chop off that part. Now, this usually happens especially when the joints are not well defined, okay? So as a result, you'll find that our whatever is struggling, our magic wand is struggling, and I suspect this is where we're having that problem, okay? So allow me to split it further and isolate that part. Are we getting? So far, so good. Let's see, okay, we are narrowing in into a problem. So our problem basically is this portion here. And this portion here, we will want to do that. So this is just a unique challenge with my model. It's not it will not always be the same that you also get such a challenge, but when you get such a challenge, you need to identify what is causing it. So for me, I suspect this curve is what might be causing the problem. I suspect that curve is what is causing this problem. So we push this one up to where the curve starts. Maybe move this one. Then let me curve that one. Just love the problem. So it confirms that that curve is the problem. Let us see what we're getting there. That curve ideally is the problem. I don't know why, because up to that point it's working. So I don't know why. Maybe, yeah, I can see something funny happens there. Then allow me not to go to that deep level of troubleshooting. Allow me to use this one that way for the time being. I'm sure that one will be seen where it is. So allow me to move this one back where our site is located. I don't know why it's not, maybe I'm not keen on moving it. So let us see what we are getting. There it is. Slightly up. So that gives you an idea of where working will be. What material do we use? Just use the same material as Ratadon. As you can see, definitely the material is wrong. But for you, it should be a responsibility to look for, not to look, but to create that material so that you are not short of materials. For the tutorial, because of time, allow me to choose that for the time being. Let's look at the model. You can see we're still having that simply because of that override. So let's remove that override and we are good to go. Now again, that is being caused by the workflow. We did the model before drafting, and therefore the draft, we have some inconsistency there, but nevertheless, we have been able to place our road, okay? I am even tempted to just place a small mesh for our site so that we cure that problem once and for all. So allow me to again the same thing. Drag it maybe by 3 million. Chop off portions that we don't need. So again, I'll just do a quick rectangle. It'll be more faster. And just to be safe, I'll always be checking, just to be sure that you've done the right thing. Yeah, so far so good. I want to chop off all the remaining portions. Then I cannot, unless I split it. Make those two surface. So to deal with compartments, deal with that, deal with that, deal with that, deal with that. We have a problem with our model. Let's look at it. So far, so good. So allow me to take it back. There is our model. I am tempted to make it green for now. Use the green brush. Let us see what we are getting. At least our problems are partially resolved, so you can see how the outline on the location map is misleading us. Just move it slightly higher so that you're able to see it. So just now with that, we have our road, we have our access, we have our site. And maybe now these whatevers will start making sense because you can see they are not floating. Okay, so the remaining thing would be trying to replicate what we had on the site plan. So we have a plinth. Let's deal with the plinth. Now for this plinth, we are going to place a slab. For now, we just want to see how our building, the extent of the floating quotes for building. So we just use a standard slab. You'll notice that I've completely ignored the layers. That's not correct. Ideally, should work within your layers. So let's look at this in the context of, for us, the rule of thumb is that the bottom of your slab should have some respectable distance from the ground just to prevent leakage. Okay? So let's push it up maybe by even 200. Okay. So as you can see, for us, we have a relatively flat side. So our slab, when you place it, don't have any major issue. The cars, the trees, as I said, maybe before that, allow me even to place our compass. The beauty about this compass is that it can also be placed scale. It can also be placed in 3D. I don't see it there. We just need to look for the relevant setting. We need to show it as detailed. There it is. Let's cut a section through it. There it is. Okay. We've placed our plinth, we have placed our parking, we've placed that. Let us place the car. Again, you must learn how to use the various 3D rendering softwares, which can give you variety, but for now, I think that will suffice. Just want to place my car on my parking. Slightly skewed on one side, but let's use it nevertheless. For the car times, you can see as much as I want to place it. I need to see the wheels, so I need to use this option so that I'm able to see sectional elevation. It will help me place the okay. So far so good. As you can see, you can go on and forth and so on and so forth and so forth. Okay. I'm noticing that that thing is quite thick. There might be need for us to bring it down by almost 100. Even bring it down by 150. So bring this one down by 150. So that starts looking realistic. So if you look at our model, I would say so far so good. Now we're having this issue simply because maybe the tweaks on our model is causing this. So this level, I'll quickly show you how to use the connect tool. Solid element operation. And I use this one as the operator. Then I subtract with upward extrusion, means anything above operator will be cut off. There you see, now we have our site well forming, okay? So up to that point, we are somewhere. So what are the deliverables that we need in this exercise? We need to publish, okay? Basically, we are supposed to get a location map view set as a 3D. Now, for this location map, I want us to look at it in two ways. As an isometric and as a perspective. Remember that the plan you already, the orthographic, you already have it. But if push comes to shove, you can still generate that orthographic, which will be consistent to your location map drafting. So let's generate its isometric. By now, I think you know issues of isometry. So I'll choose an isometric. The angle, let me see what, first of all, I'm getting. I might want to view it that way. Okay. So with that, I'll come and create a new folder. I'll call it location map and site modeling. So we say, okay, I will come and save this. We will call it location map isometric. I might want a perspective. What perspective do I want? It's up to you. Do I want a bird's eye view? Maybe at this level, I can even now place, just place a camera. We have never done that, so let's place a camera. Maybe I want a view from here. As you can see, we are down, so we just need to move up, okay? Do you want that? Do you want a bird's eye view? Maybe. I'll be interested in a bird's eye view, that one. So I'll come and say location map. Bird eye view, so that I'm able to see the whole place, the site in the context of that, okay? What I'm trying to show is that with one model, you can create very many views, and along the way, you'll see a point where we are being asked for almost 30 view sets. All what you need to do is to model properly, and then from there, you can generate as many views that will save as view sets. You can get as many without any struggle. As you can see, I've already gotten the two main ones for the location. Let's do the same for our site. Now, for our site, I can pick up the location and zoom into the site area. So there it is for my site. Okay. So I can come and save as site isometric. And then on the same basis, I can place a camera at the entrance of my site, so that I'm able to see. Select. Okay, just need to move up I want a perspective. So for me, that will really show the extent of my site. I can see the main road, can see my driveway, can see all the owners of my parcel. So I can come and save us site perspective. Now, let's go back and see what is asked for from us. We don't need any hard copy deliverable, but we need a consolidated PDF, BMX, sorry, for your location map on the site plan. So let's consolidate this. So now I want to have a consolidated presentation of my 2Ds and my 3Ds. So what will I do? I'll go to the organizer. In my organizer, for the BMX, I will just come and drag those 4 side there. Just do the same for the PDF for consistency. Let us see what we get. This time around, I will not want to overwrite what I previously did. So under my properties, I will come and give it, let's say, deliverable 2. Okay. And I will also do the same on my PDF. Make sure that I don't overwrite. So I will call it deliverable 2. So if I say, so with that, I'm done with the organizer. I come here to publish and I select both of them. And I confirm that I publish the selected sites and publish. I'll just remember the location might be distorted, but let's see what we get. So as you can see, we are just building up on what we had already done. We'd already done our documentation. Now we have done our modeling. Now we have done our drafting, 2D. Now we have done our modeling. After modeling, we will do a 3D documentation. And that will be the process. We just draft, model, we document, draft, model, document, okay? Once you have improved on your prowess, you'll find that the drafting part, you will not need to spend time drafting. You can quickly dash to modeling. So just be modeling and documenting, modeling and documenting. And that's the essence of BIM. Should be able to model, and we are supposed to be documenting. But at the end of the day, whatever you present, whether it's a PDF, whether it's a BMX, whether it's a DWG, it's communicating. So let's see what you get. As you can see, it's now becoming a bit heavier, simply because we are converting the whole of that location model into a BMX. So even in terms of size, it will be a bit bigger. Let's see what we get. So it has finished. As you can see now, the size is 56. I'll want to quickly revisit my location map. As you can see, what has happened to it, I forgot to take it back to its original size. So allow me to quickly do it. Update to frame. Just trying to get the original size. Just can see it's outside there. So I can just place. Then I will even remove the orientation so that I get my original location map. Okay. Let's just even look at it here. So I need to put this on 0. There it is. So if I look at my location map at this level, it should go back to what you originally had. Okay. That dimension is not necessary, so I need to go and remove that dimension, this level. As I always say, don't delete, just hide. And now I believe that my location map is fine. I'll want to publish again so that we have the correct set of published documents. Let's quickly review before we publish. That's what we had. There's a bird's eye view. This is isometric for our site, the road, the driveway, the slab, the compass, the car. That's a perspective. Okay. Allow me at this level to publish again. I will just overwrite what I've done so that I have the correct set documents. So we are waiting for it to finish publishing. As you can see, it takes a bit of time. Okay. So in situations where you are supposed to submit work, both in academia and even in practice, you always need to start early. If you have a deadline of, let's say right now is 6:17 a.m., let's say the deadline was 7 a.m., you don't wait until 6:45 for you to start publishing, but rather you start early and you give it time, because you cannot force it to work faster. You have to give it time so that it's able to do its publishing properly. So I think in its last BMX file. Yeah, you can see the correction has slightly increased the size. We talked about you looking at, if you want to check each item, you can double. Okay. But allow me to close. With that, we are done. I would want us to quickly look at our deliverables to see if really what we have makes sense. So here are the published documents. One is the PDF. So the PDF you see now, it's from 2 to 6 pages, where you have the floor plan or the site plan. Okay. We have the isometric for location, and since we overlaid, we're able to relate our location map with this. Okay. Apart from the small problem there, we have an aerial, a bird's eye view, again, of our site, our location. This one is an isometric of our site, and this one is a perspective, a bird's eye view of our site. Okay. Apart from those two issues of the road and the parcel of land, then I think whatever you do should surface. Okay. Let's look at the other deliverable, which is the BMX. Now, this BMX is a versatile tool that you can use to exchange information with your client, this time for academia with your client. So you should be able to give me a BMX file that communicates. And this BMX file, will be submitting them in two ways. One, we'll be submitting, for now, we'll submit it as a BMX file as it is, then we'll later upload it into a portal. But the most critical thing is that you need to have looked at your BMX model even before submitting, okay? And you yourself should be able to share the experience that the client should be able to get before you proceed on so much, okay? So if I open like that, as you can see, it's showing me the whole site. There is my site, okay? And the beauty about the BMX is that I can walk through, okay? If I want to walk through, I just take the walk mode and I'm thrown to the ground. Once I'm on the ground and find my way, okay? And find my way and go to the road. There is the road and I can walk through the road to my site. So your model should be able to communicate this way. So just quickly dash to my site. So see, as from our site, I can see the edge of my parcel of land is in that column. And so the vehicle placed on site. We have come for a site visit just to have an idea of where your site is located. So I want us to even walk through the site and see what we are getting. But there you can get a BMX app on your phone. And that becomes very important when you're dealing with the clients because they don't need to go to the online one. They just need to download it and use it on their phone. So yeah, we are able to see the extent of our parking, 2 or 3 issues, especially with a mesh. At least we are somewhere. We're able to see the extent of our suspended slab, the north and the buildings behind. Remember the blocks that you put? Now those ones will be able to be seen. So I think at this level, you can see the importance of a BMX file, especially to a client. You don't need to do a lot of explanation, but rather you need to give it to the client to be able to explore and see what you're doing. So my friends, allow me to stop there for this presentation. Thank you.